Hello, clinical supervisors, clinical associates, and teacher candidates. I am Pat Parsons.
And I am Christine Draper. We currently serve as the co-coordinators of edTPA for Georgia Southern University College of Education.
We are here to take a few minutes of your time to share information that will make your experience supporting a Georgia Southern student teacher even more successful. Above all, we want to thank you for watching the video to learn more about edTPA.
We want all involved to feel knowledgeable about this performance assessment and the nuts and bolts of what will be required in the classroom, especially since this assessment is required for teaching certification in the state of Georgia starting fall 2015. edTPA was organized and developed by the Teacher Performance Assessment Consortium, TPAC, which is a national partnership with Stanford Center for Assessment, Learning, and Equity, the American Association of Colleges for Teacher Education, Institutes for Higher Education, and more than 700 educators, 160 institutions of higher education, and 25 state education associations. As you can see by the map, there are numerous states that are implementing or utilizing edTPA in some form for assessing teacher effectiveness or for teacher certification.
edTPA performance is centered around the core of effective teaching, which intends to define and assess candidates' ability to demonstrate teaching proficiency. This is centered around what we have always asked our candidates to be able to do effectively, but includes addressing academic language and requires candidates to justify instructional decisions with evidence and educational theory. First component, planning. Candidates will plan a learning segment, a 3 to 5 lesson unit, where they plan lessons around a central focus, use knowledge of students' specific needs to inform teaching and learning, build content understandings, and include assessments that monitor and support student learning. During this portion, they need to justify their decisions based on the students they are teaching. Next is instruction. Candidates will videotape themselves and will analyze their teaching based on the learning environment, explain how they engage students in learning, and how they deepen students' understanding of the central focus. This video must be unedited, include teacher and student interactions. And finally, assessment. Candidates will analyze student work and will specifically address the feedback they have provided to their learners. Through this task, they need to use data to inform instruction and explain how the feedback will guide further learning. As you may have noticed, academic language must be addressed in all 3 tasks. Candidates need to identify and support students' language demands and analyze students' language use and learning.
For most subject areas, there are 13 to 15 rubrics that the teacher candidate is assessed on in edTPA regarding planning, instruction, and assessment. For elementary education, there is an additional Task 4, which has 3 additional rubrics that address a mathematics lesson. We will address each topic in detail shortly.
edTPA materials are assessed by a common rubric format. The rubric progression is from early novice to expert teacher. At this point, teacher candidates are expected to score a level 3. This level indicates that the candidate demonstrates expanding repertoire of skills and strategies, deepening rationale and reflection of teaching, a shift from teacher focus to student focus, moving instruction from whole class to generic groups to meeting individual needs.
Even though edTPA is subject specific, the handbooks are all designed the same. The main areas to look at in the handbook includes the structure section, which breaks down all key areas and additional requirements or resources. The task overview page, which breaks down tasks 1 through 3 for all areas, and the additional task 4 for elementary education. In this section, candidates are provided with a graphic that highlights what they need to do, what they need to submit, as well as the evaluation rubrics that they will be graded on. Each handbook then goes into detail for each task and details for the candidates the specific prompts they need to respond to. The handbooks include subject-specific prompts, typically 5 per task, that candidates will be assessed with. Candidates are also required to read through the professional responsibilities section of the handbook, which highlights the importance of protecting confidentiality, acquiring permissions, citing their sources, and aligning instruction with state standards. Candidates will also want to view additional resources, such as making good choices, and any online support guidelines which are available at edTPA.com. Prior to teaching, candidates complete a context for learning where they provide information about the school setting, the class featured, and the individual learning considerations of students that need to be addressed specifically in their teaching. The handbook also contains evidence charts which identify the file format types students can submit for official scoring, as well as the required minimum or maximum length of these materials. Finally, the handbook contains a glossary which defines key terms throughout the handbook. Teacher candidates have online access to this handout through the COE website and through their Student Teaching Folio course.
Task 1 is planning for instruction and assessment. Teacher candidates select a class or one focused learner in special education. They provide context learning, which is completed on a template with a 3-page limit. They identify a learning segment to plan, teach, and analyze. This is 3 to 5 consecutive lessons and approximately 3 to 5 hours of instruction. They must identify a central focus, analyze language demands, also academic language. Task 1. So what do our candidates do? First, they have to write lesson plans for each lesson in the learning segment. It's either total class or small group of at least 3 students. They must use state-adopted standards, develop learning objectives, identify formal and informal assessments, develop instructional strategies and learning tasks, instructional resources and materials that will engage students in learning. Each lesson plan can be a maximum of 4 pages. Task 1, the learning segments. Candidates need to consider learning segment topics for this portion of student teaching.
Some examples include
Strategy-based and shouldn't be too skill-specific. An example being no standalone grammar units. And think about language demands and academic language supports. Posted here are examples of the types of information teacher candidates need to be able to address in their planning, instruction, and assessment of a subject area topic. Here you will see the purpose and features of edTPA paralleled with mechanisms that clinical supervisors can use to support candidates. Purpose and key features are: our candidates must know students and plan for them, not generically. Develop 3 to 5 lessons built around a central focus. Plan instruction and assessment with students' prior learning in mind. Take into account knowledge of students' development, backgrounds, assets, interests, and learning levels. And set clear criteria for student learning that are tied to the learning objectives. Clinical supervisors' support roles are to guide your teacher candidate to select learning segment topics and identify the class. Assist teacher candidates to assess relevant information to complete the context for learning. Confer with your teacher candidate as he or she selects a central focus, content standards, and the learning objectives for edTPA. Explain the general design of curriculum and assessments in use in your school and district. And definitely offer emotional support. Task 1, or all of edTPA, aligned with teacher keys. On this slide you will see the rubrics aligned with the TAP standards. The rubrics in Task 1 planning address subject level understandings, supporting varied student learning needs, using knowledge of students to inform teaching and learning, identifying supporting language demands, and planning assessments to monitor and support student learning. These key features align with TAP standards 1, 2, 3, and 5.
Task 2, instruction. Candidates must obtain video permission from parents or guardians for video and work samples. Video lesson segment requirements are specific to subject area handbooks. Some of these examples include: for early childhood, you can have 1 to 2 clips, no more than 15 minutes total. Or for music, you can have 2 clips no more than 10 minutes each. We suggest that you check the edTPA Handbook for specific video requirements. Task 2. The rubrics in Task 2 instruction address the learning environment, especially the instructional strategies utilized, engaging students in learning, which is having differentiated learning experiences where students are actively engaged, deepening student learning and subject-specific pedagogy, having those varied assessments and encouraging critical thinking, and analyzing teaching effectiveness, which is promoting that positive learning environment and academically challenging environment. And these align with TAP standards 3, 4, 6, 7, and 8. In Task 2, the candidates need to document on video the ability to engage students and to guide students in deepening their understanding of the learning segment's central role. Clinical supervisors, you can help support your teacher candidates in assisting them in securing video permission forms, assisting them in accessing video recording equipment in your school if this is needed. You can video record during the 3 to 5 days of the learning segment, and of course, providing emotional support.
Task 3, Assessment. Teacher candidates will have to identify whole class assessment from their learning segment. They will define and submit evaluation criteria. They must analyze student work for patterns of learning, identify 3 focused student work samples. One learner must have specific learning needs, examples being an ELL learner, IEP, gifted, or underperforming. In Task 3, candidates must document feedback given to 3 focused students. This documentation can be on work samples, an audio clip, or a video clip. Candidates must respond to commentary prompts and provide evidence of use of academic language. Video from Task 2 and/or work samples from Task 3 can be provided. Task 3 assessment rubrics address analyzing student learning, providing feedback to guide learning, addressing how students will use feedback that is given, analyzing subject-specific learning, and using assessment to inform instruction. These align with TAP's standards 2, 4, 6, and 8. In Task 3, the key features are candidates analyzing student thinking and learning, candidates analyzing student strengths and needs, using the analysis of student performance to inform instruction. Clinical supervisors can provide support by assisting your teacher candidate to understand assessment strategies, assist your teacher candidate to assess scanning technology in your building, and provide that ongoing emotional support and help guide their time management.
For elementary education candidates, you have Task 4. Task 4 looks specifically at a math lesson, and in this, candidates will select a class, they will provide context information about the class, they will identify a learning segment that includes a student formative assessment, they will identify the central focus, describe the instruction, and then develop or adapt a formative assessment. Finally, they will collect and analyze student work. In looking at the alignment with TEKS, the rubrics in Elementary Education Task 4 address analyzing whole class and individual student understandings, looking specifically at instructional planning and differentiated instruction, varied assessment strategies and uses, as well as using evidence to reflect on teaching, providing that academically challenging environment. These address TAP standards 2, 4, 5, 6, and 8. In Task 4, the key features are that candidates need to analyze evidence of student learning of mathematics from one assessment completed by the whole class of students. Based on analysis from the assessment, the candidate must plan and teach a re-engagement lesson that addresses identified learning needs. Clinical supervisors, please note, this original lesson may be taught by you. You can help to guide your teacher candidate to select a learning segment. You can assist the teacher candidate to access relevant information to complete the context for learning, and above all, provide that emotional support.
What are the acceptable levels of support for classroom teachers to give our teacher candidates? You may ask them open-ended or probing questions to encourage candidates to reflect on their responses. You may explain general design of the curriculum materials or instructional and assessment strategies used in the system. You may use rubric constructs or rubric language to provide teacher candidates with guidance on how their performance will be evaluated formally once submitted. Please also visit the edTPA webpage on the College of Education's website for more detailed information. Your student teacher can assist you in accessing this site.
There are levels of unacceptable support. These include co-teaching or stepping in to clarify or reteach during the 3 to 5 day learning segment, using edTPA rubrics to provide formal feedback or scores on drafts of edTPA tasks prior to submission, making choices for candidates of curriculum materials or instructional strategies, other than pointing out those that are required by the school or district, providing your own analysis of K-12 pupils' work or offering alternative responses to commentary prompts. Don't provide coaching for teacher candidates perceived to be weak that is aimed at helping them to pass edTPA. And above all, do not edit edTPA drafts. We cannot thank you enough for the support and guidance you provide to candidates throughout the semester.
This performance assessment will help to ensure that new teachers are ready to teach and to help all students learn from day one of their teaching career.